What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Bleeding BnG episode. Before we get too deep into this episode, guys, if you're checking us out on YouTube, be sure to comment, be sure to like, and be sure to subscribe. On the road to 2K followers, trying to get there before the draft, but I cannot do it without your help. Without further ado, let me give you a timestamp as I do for every episode. Today is Monday, March 18th, 2024, and we're back with episode 117 of the Bleeding BnG podcast. And this episode is going to be our mock draft version 2.0. So our second rendition of the mock draft. So you know we're going to be posting this on audio only platforms as well. But if you're checking us out over on YouTube, you can see we have the mock draft simulator up. But have no fear if you're checking us out on Spotify or, Apple Podcasts or any of our audio only platform mediums. But we're going to be talking you guys through this draft so you guys can get that visual image as if you were there present in the war room with us, in the Bleeding BnG war room. So to give you a recap, we have had some updates to our draft order since our version 1.0. I'll be sure to pin the comment, the link to version 1.0 in the comments, so be sure to check that out. But with the trade of Washington traded Sam Howell to the Seattle Seahawks, they actually had some draft swaps. They moved up 24 spots, and they went up from the 4th round to the 3rd, moving from the 102nd pick to the 78th pick. So they moved up 24 spots, and they moved into a whole another round, moving from the 4th to the 3rd, as I said. And then they swapped 5th round picks with 4th round picks, moving from the 179th pick to the 152nd pick, essentially moving 27 spots. So Washington now has 6 picks in the top 100. They have 6 picks in the top 100. They have number 2 in the first round, number 36 and number 40 in the second round, and number 67, number 78, and number 100 in round 3. So for a team looking to rebuild, with a team that has over 18 free agency acquisitions, whether that be bringing in new players or re-signing in a couple of old guys since the league tampering period and the new league year started last week, we have a lot of draft capital to continue to rebuild this roster. I think as of right now, it's been about 35% of the roster has already been turned over since the previous year in 2023. And with 6 picks in the top 100 and 9 picks overall, or a plethora of picks, because who knows, we might wheel and deal in this mock draft simulator. We might cook like my man Adam Peters has been doing for the last couple of weeks. But with that draft order, with that type of draft capital, you have more than enough to accelerate your rebuild into turning into the contender that we ultimately all want this team to be. So, I'm going to go ahead and do this in my Caleb Williams jersey if you're checking us out on audio-only platforms. Because there's also been some news with the Chicago Bears actually trading their former starting quarterback Justin Fields to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a future 6th-round pick. So our dreams of, I'll admit, our dreams of Caleb to DC are looking rather bleak right now. But they're not dead. They're not dead. They're on life support. But everybody knows what I would prefer for us to happen. And that's how the draft shaked out in version 1.0. But without further ado, let's get into our second rendition, version 2.0 of the Bleeding BnG's mock draft for the 2024 year. So we already done clicked up. We don't have Washington queued up. We're going all 7 rounds, normal. So I'm able to talk you guys through some of the picks while, being able to wheel, deal, and negotiate and see if some trade opportunities presents itself as well. We're going to go ahead and enter this draft, and let's get into it. All right, so with the first pick, the Chicago Bears take Caleb Williams, which is expected, and which is how, the draft is expected to play out in April. If you guys are new to my mock draft type videos and things of that nature, what I like to do is that I like to keep my draft options and my targets as realistic as possible. With the mock draft simulator being some sometimes wonky, no matter the platform. So that's no shots to Pro Football Network. But all mock draft simulators are somewhat wonky to an extent. They tend to get a little bit ironed out and hashed out after the combine, where more players are more projected, and they're not really shocking guys on the draft board. So, for example, if I see a guy like who's a guy? If I see a guy like Roma Dunze over there at 36, I know that's not going to happen on draft night, so I would just ultimately pass on him to keep our draft order and our draft as realistic as possible. So, with that being said, Chicago took quarterback Caleb Williams with the first pick. On the board, we have Drake May, quarterback from North Carolina. We have wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. We have Jaden Daniels. We have Joe Alt. And we have Olu Fashanu. Those are our top 6 of available prospects, or our top 5 available prospects. And I think that Washington has pretty much showed their hand that they're going to be selecting a quarterback. The only quarterback that we have under contract right now is Marcus Mariota. And I'll be damned if I go in the season with Marcus Mariota as my quarterback 1. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and select the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels, to go along with that second pick. So Drake May went off the board. Dallas Turner went off the board to the Cardinals. Let's pause this draft. So far, we paused the draft. We have Talise Falga for right tackle from Oregon State. Brock Bowers, to the Raiders. Brock Bowers went to the Broncos. Roma Dunze went to the Vikings. So we got some names flying off the board. I'm trying to scroll up, get back to the top. Dallas Turner went 4 to the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr. went to the Chargers. Ooh, with them just getting rid of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, I think that might be a need, even though I'll be damned, and I'll be pleasantly surprised. Not pleasantly surprised, because I'm not a Charger fan. I'll be surprised if Marvin Harrison Jr. makes it to the 5th pick. But yeah. So this is what I'm gonna do. I pause the draft, and what I do, I know with free agency we haven't really signed any tackles. Tyron Smith went to the Jets, and while Adam Peters has been hitting straight bangers in free agency, one thing that we don't have, and one thing that we haven't signed yet, is a premier left tackle to go along with our quarterback of the future. So when we get towards this 20th pick, I think I might have a trade. I think I might have a trade proposal at my hands. Let's see. Matter of fact, as of right now, we got J.C. Latham still on the board, Terrion Arnold, Jared Verse, Quinion Mitchell, Amarius Mims. Yeah, let's see how the draft board falls. Jared Verse off the board. Terrion Arnold. So as of right now, I'm at the 20th pick with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I have Amarius Mims. I have Troy Fatandu. I have Chop Robinson still on the board. So this is what I'm going to do, because I don't see the Philadelphia Eagles making a trade with me at 22. I know that the Miami Dolphins have a lot of cap problems. So they may not be looking to sign a first round pick to an extended contract. They may be looking to, dabble within the second round. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna propose a trade with the Miami Dolphins for this 21st pick. And I'm gonna pray that Amarius Mims doesn't go off the board to Pittsburgh, because they drafted a Georgia tackle last year. Trade with the Dolphins. No. Where are the Miami Dolphins? Dolphins, confirm. I'm going to go ahead and offer up the 36th pick and the 67th pick for Miami's 21st. And let's see what they say. So the trade has been rejected. So Nate Wiggins is, let's see. I'm going to offer, but I feel like, Whoever traded with the Vikings the other day didn't give up this much. The Houston Texans, the Vikings did not give this much to move up to the 23rd pick. I feel like I might be being swindled. But the tackles are flying off the board, and I don't want to miss out on Amarius Mims or Troy Fautanu. So I'm going to go ahead and offer the 36th pick and the 40th pick for the 21st in Miami. Let's see what they say now. And that trade was accepted. So Washington's now picking with the 21st pick. And let's resume the draft. Pittsburgh selects Amarius Mims. Wow. So Amarius Mims is off the board. And now I'm getting offers for my 21st pick. So with the 21st pick, Cleveland is offering me the 54th pick, the 85th pick, the pick 156, and a couple future seconds and thirds. We're going to go ahead and reject that. Baltimore is offering the 30th pick and the 62nd pick for pick 21 and 22. That's enticing. That's very enticing. We're going to go ahead and... That means I move back 9 spots, but then I get an extra second rounder. And I get one of the picks that I just missed out on. I'm going to go ahead and reject this offer simply because while I still might be able to get a guy like Jordan Morgan in the 30th with the 30th pick, I think there's a gap there in between a guy like Troy Fautanu and Jordan Morgan, and I don't want to miss out on getting a guy like Troy Fautanu. And you see he's the 21st best player overall on the board, so picking him with the 21st pick would be appropriate. So I'm going to reject Baltimore's offer, and I'm going to go ahead and select Troy Fautanu, tackle from Washington. A lot of guys projected Troy Fautanu to be a guard before the combine, but then he measured in with 34-inch arms, and all those rumors and all those questions about him being a guard at the next level were put to bed. So some names are flying off the board. So that's the one thing about trading up that pick. We don't pick again until pick 67. So we got some dogs getting off the board now. We got some dogs getting off the board. T.J. Tampa just went to the Steelers at 51. Malachi Corley. We missed out on Malachi Corley and Ladd McConkey and Jalen Polk. So a lot of the wide receivers went off the board. Quarterback Michael Penix Jr. went to the Raiders at 44. Braylon Trice. So we missed out on some edge help. So we missed out on some guys. But this is the chance that you take. And ultimately, you know, it's at the discretion of the evaluator. Me personally, I think that there's a gap there between a guy like Jordan Morgan, who you might have been able to get without trading a pick, and Troy Fautanu with Amarius Mims falling off the board. So I went ahead and made that pick. But, I mean, like I said, let me know if you would have made that deal in the comments. And let me know how the draft is going so far. So with the 67 pick, we're about 13 picks away. And let's see how the draft board falls. Adisa Isaac's off the board. Peyton Wilson is off the board. Linebacker, Ricky Purcell, Cameron Kitchens. So, Washington is on the clock with the 67 pick. The Jets are offering the 72nd pick and an extra 7th rounder. I'm good off the 7th rounders. Cleveland is offering, no, we're not drafting for the future. Not in this draft, at least. Maybe in a later draft, but not in this draft. Not in this draft. So Washington's on the clock with the 67th pick. Cameron Kitchens just went off the board. Ennis Rankshaw Jr., cornerback from Missouri. Ricky Purcell at the end of the second round. So some names that are on the board. We have tackle Patrick Paul, who was taking a slide. Who was taking a big slide. He was projected with the 57th pick. He was the 56th best player on the board, so having him at 67 would be good value. Tight end Jatavian Sanders would be good value. Tight end Ben Sinnott will be good value. Chris Jenkins, defensive tackle from Michigan, the son of former defensive tackle Chris Jenkins. Jonathan Brooks is on the board. But I think that I might go ahead and double up on my tackles here because I did just make a huge investment with Jaden Daniels as my number 2 overall pick. Andrew Wiley isn't the answer, so the cupboard is pretty bare at tackle, and just selecting a guy like Troy Fatanu, even though I think he does have future Pro Bowl potential, that's only one position. And we do pick at 78, so we do pick 11 picks away. And there are some quality tight ends on the board. Jatavian Sanders is still on the board. Ben Sinnott is still on the board. Theo Johnson is still on the board. So I think that one of those guys might still be available at 78. Theo Johnson definitely should be. Let me look at the edges. The edge is pretty bare. Along with the quarterback position, we got Chris Abrams-Drains, who I like a little bit. DJ James, Kalen Clean, some guys that I think I can get in the next round. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead, double down on the offensive tackles and bring in Commanders guard, Chris Paul's brother, Patrick Paul, from the University of Houston. And he's a guy that can give you some versatility. He's played both tackle positions at Houston, so bringing in a guy like Troy Fatanu isn't, being remedial at the position because you can plug in Patrick Paul to play at the right tackle in the future. And yeah. We have 2 trade offers. Washington is now on the board at 78. So guess what? Both of the tight ends fell off of the board. Ben Sinnott and Jatavian Sanders went off the board. Ben Sinnott went the pick before us at 77. Now the Houston Texans are offering the 86th pick and a future third for our 78th pick and pick 152. It's some ass trades proposals going down today. And I'm not even against anti-trades, but we got to make it make sense over here at Pro Football Network. What we doing over here? Pick 78 and a Washington 6th rounder in 2025 for the Minnesota Vikings 108th pick. And the 3rd rounder, we're going to go ahead and reject that too. So we got some dogs on the board. We got Xavier Leggett. We got Cedric Van Pran Granger. We got Jonathan Brooks, who was the RB1 throughout the entire year before he tore his ACL. Chris Jenkins still on the board. Marshawn Nealon are still on the board. Probably the best edge available at this very moment. But I'm going to go ahead and get a guy who has some questions about going into the combine about some of his testing numbers, and then he went and blew the roof off of Indy. And that's Xavier Leggett, wide receiver, big body wide receiver, out of the University of South Carolina. So this is a guy that you can play on the boundaries and finally put Jahan Dotson in his position that he's supposed to be in the slot because he cannot handle press coverage to save his life. And yeah, gives you a guy out opposite of Terry McLaurin, another pass catcher for Jaden Daniels. So Washington is now on the board with the 100th pick. Oh, now we talking. The New York Giants are offering pick 107 and 166 for pick 100 and pick 222. Let's see what the next deal is hitting on. The Los Angeles Chargers, are offering pick 105 and pick 140 for pick 100 and pick 222. I'm going to go ahead and pass on this. And let me tell you why. Because we already have pick 139. And we need a cornerback. But I have a lot of faith. The one position that I have faith in Dan Quinn drafting is cornerback. Out of any position on the football field. I believe that he can turn a fourth round starter he can turn a 4th round draft pick into a day 1 starter. Look at Deron Bunn. Now, he wasn't a day 1 starter, but he's a NFL record holder within 2 years. Look at Trayvon Diggs, who looked like a bust of a pick after round his first year. Look at the DBs that he worked with in Seattle. And I'm of the belief that this draft starts to fall short around player 125, so pick 140 doesn't do me much of a benefit if I'm of that belief. So I'm going to go ahead and reject this pick. I'm going to reject the Giants pick as well. And I'm going to go ahead and take the guy. Well, let's see who's some corners on the board. DJ James is on the board. Kyrie Jackson, a guy I like a lot. Local product. Wise High School. Shout out PG. Kalen King still available. And some of the best players on the board are Braylon Allen, who I think is the best running back in the class. I don't know if his skill set would be a bit redundant with Brian Robinson Jr., but he's a hell of a talent that you would be bringing in for sure. Kalen Bullock, Renardo Green, Kyren Amadeji. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. I'm good off offensive tackles anyway. And Kalen Bullock, true free safety, true center field free safety. A little susceptible tackling in the open field, but a guy that I like a lot. And then we got two corners, DJ James and Renardo Green. Both about 5'11", doesn't necessarily fit the Dan Quinn style of cornerback, even though Deron Bland is similar to that size. I think that DJ James, while I'm not too familiar with Renardo Green's game, I like DJ James a lot. This is a guy that you can bring in and play the slot as well. So we're going to go ahead and draft DJ James. He was the 90th overall player on PFN's big board, so getting him at pick 100 seems to be great value. Johnny Wilson goes off the board. Spencer Rattler. So we got some names going off the board. Javon Baker, Michael Pratt, Aldrich Estime. We're in the 4th round now, so our next pick is pick 139. So, I see Dylan Laub here, and I also see Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright was the 117th ranked player. I got my cornerback. I got my offensive tackle. I got me a pass catcher. I really need to have Jalen Wright. I need it. So, I'm going to propose picks 139 and pick 202 to move up to pick 122 with the Chicago Bears, to see if I can get Jalen Wright. Because I think he's the perfect guy to learn under a dynamo out of the backfield. Perfect guy to learn under Austin Eckler for however long you want to keep him for that contract. And a perfect complement to a guy like Brian Robinson for the future. And this is a guy that I think that he might have the capability of taking over the bell cow back from both of those guys in the future. Think of Keaton Mitchell last year. So I'm going to go ahead and offer pick 139 and pick 222. That trade has been rejected. All right, Chicago. That's how we feel. I don't know if I could give up pick 139 and pick 152 to move up 17 spots. I don't know if I could do that. So we're going to keep the draft rolling. Hey, that's the beauty of the draft. You never know what's going to happen in the war room. You never know what team is going to tell you to get the fuck out of my face, like the Chicago Bears just did. So now I have to hope and pray that, and of course he isn't. Jalen Wright goes to the Green Bay Packers. So now we're working into the 5th round. I have pick 139. I'm on the clock. And the Raiders are offering pick 148, pick 208, and pick 223 for pick 139. And a future 6th round pick from me. Some guys that are on the board are Tanner Bortolini, Theo Johnson, Marshawn Lloyd, Dylan Lube. And I still would have pick 152. No, because I really like a player on this board right now. I really like a couple of players on this board right now, matter of fact. So that might be the reason to take this trade. I like a couple of players that's still on this board. And I will essentially be moving back 9 picks. But would that be the 9 players that I love on this board? I don't know. We're going to go ahead and accept this. We're going to go ahead and accept that. So I just accepted the trade. So now I have picks 148, 152, picks 208 and 222 after a trade with the Oakland Raiders. Now I'm back on the clock with pick 148. And the Minnesota Vikings are offering pick 157. Pick 157 and pick 230 and 232 for a 148th pick and a 6th round offer me. No, I'm good. I'm good off that one. I'm good off that one. So I'm going to go ahead and draft. We have Dylan Law. We have Jordan Wiley. We have Jordan Jefferson. We have Jaheim Bell, tight end from Florida State. We have Isaiah Adams. We have Tyke Smith. But I'm going to go ahead and draft Dylan Law, one of my favorites. Pass catching back, 3rd down back from the University of New Hampshire. Another guy, same guy. He doesn't have the burners and the top end speed that Jalen Wright has, but this is a guy that's a more natural pass catcher than Jalen Wright. And he's more in the mode of an Austin Eckler, who's not necessarily a burner, beats you more with quicks, but is exceptional out the backfield. So Dylan Law was off the board with our 148th pick. So we're back at the board with our 152nd pick. And right now, we're really taking flyers on prospects. We got Isaiah Davis. We got Isaiah Adams. We have Jaheim Bell. We have Jared Wiley. Jared Wiley's a 6'7" pass catcher from TCU. I'm familiar with Jaheim Bell, not so much Jared Wiley. But I think that Luke McCaffrey's available. Let's see, what wide receiver we have on the board. Jalen Coker. Oh, my boy is on the board. And it looked like my boy might still be on the board at pick 208. But I'm going to go ahead and reach for him at pick 152 because he's a dog. One of my favorite draft crushes. Hey, call it a reach if you want. This is my draft crush. I'm pulling a Dan Snyder right now and kicking down the door in the draft room to draft baby Kittle, Dallin Holker, a guy that I expected to run much faster in the combine at the 40, but turn on the film. Go see what he did to Colorado. Go see what he did to Shiloh Sanders in Colorado. He's going to be a problem. So I went ahead and reached for reached for Dallin Holker with pick 158. So our next pick that is on the board is pick 222. I've addressed quarterback. I've addressed offensive tackle. I've addressed cornerback. I haven't addressed edge or safety. I'm not necessarily sure that we're dabbling into the safety market. Bringing in a guy like Jeremy Chin. We have a lot of young guys there with Derek Forrest, and Quan Martin. So a lot of guys that we spent a lot of draft capital on. So I'm not necessarily sure that we'll dabble into the safety market. But, a guy like Kalen Bullock, who I did trade for, is a true center fielder that can play the free safety. But right now with pick 208 and then picks 222 and 223, we're really just, drafting projects. And I haven't necessarily gotten my tight end. Y'all, I did just draft Dallin Holker, excuse me. Been in the draft room too long. Let me get y'all out of here. I did just draft Dallin Holker. So the only position of need that I haven't necessarily addressed is edge. So let's see the best edge available on the board. Is Miles Cole, edge out of Texas Tech. Not too familiar with his game. 6'1", 278. What the hell? I hope that's not... Oh, 6'6", excuse me. I'm blind as a bat. 278. with a 9.96 RAS, raw athletic score, yeah, sign me up. I don't know a lick about Miles Cole, but he's our draft pick for 208. Project. This is what you draft in the 7th round. Now we're back with pick 222, 223. And at this point, I guess all the other general managers said, fuck it, because I'm not getting any more trade proposals. So we're going to go ahead and take... You can never have too many offensive linemen, right? And I love me a big corn-fed lineman. Oh, no, that's a defensive tackle. As you can see, I'm not too familiar with any of these guys' game. Oh, I know Nehemiah Pritchett. SEC boy. 6 feet. Good traits. 9.41 athletic trait. Yep. Pick 222. And with pick 223, we're going to go ahead and draft a winner. We're going to go ahead and draft a winner. And well, let's see who's still available. Tip Ryman's still on the board. Sundiata Anderson still on the board. I like the Tip Ryman pick. At 223, yeah, sign me up. 6'5" tight end, 270 pounds. I think he ran, a 4.6 40? Yeah, we could do something with that. And guess what? That's a Dallin Hooker insurance plan. If Dallin Hooker doesn't plan out. So yes, that'll do it for our draft. As we see, the draft is starting to play out. Or it's starting to hash itself out with the end of the draft. Sam Hartman picked 240. Austin Reed. There's some familiar names that made it to the end of the draft. You always get that with every draft, though, because everybody thinks every college player that they laid eyes on is draft worthy. So, we left this draft with 10 picks. Doing a lot of maneuvering, doing a lot of dibbling, doing a lot of dabbling, doing a lot of jigging. But yes, we left this draft with 10 picks. Pick 2, pick 21, pick 67, pick 78, pick 100, pick 148, pick 152, pick 208, pick 222, and pick 223. We have Jaden Daniels, quarterback from LSU with pick 2. Troy Fatanu, left tackle from Washington with pick 21. Patrick Paul, tackle from the University of Houston with pick 67. Xavier Leggett, wide receiver from South Carolina with pick 78. DJ James, cornerback from Auburn with pick 100. Dylan Law, pass catching running back out of the backfield from the University of New Hampshire with pick 148. Pick 152, Dallin Hooker, Baby Kittle from the tight end from Colorado State. Miles Cole, edge from Texas Tech. Nehemiah Pritchett, cornerback from Auburn. So we doubled down on the Auburn corners. And then Tip Ryman, tight end from the University of Illinois. Let me know how you feel about my draft. Let me know what you would have done. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning into the channel. If you haven't, as always, if you're checking us out on these audio-only platforms that I've mentioned, like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating. Please leave a review, preferably 5 stars, so that when you're searching anything, Washington Commanders, Bleeding BnG is the #1 content hub that comes up on your search bar. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll check in on you guys later. Peace.